Are you ready? Are you ready to pod it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun.
Peatcast it. This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields.
But we are an award-winning podcast. We gotta start promoting that.
Matt McGill.
Episode 156. Church Hopping Starts Young. Sponsored by Virtual Praise Band. Visit virtualpraiseband.com for a free test drive. Plus 5 lucky viewers who will try it out will win a free month of service. Virtual Praise Band.
Welcome to Simply Youth Ministry
Katie
Podcast.
and I still have to work. Let's get this thing started.
Episode 156. Doug Fields here with his friends Katie Edwards, Josh Griffin, and occasionally the Matt McGill falls into the friend category.
We'll see.
Yeah, we used to do
We'll see
that.
if he's here or not.
Well,
What are you talking
you guys, good to be back together. We're on a roll.
Yeah.
about? You guys,
2 in a row.
You know what? I was out of town. I got back in late last night, 11 o'clock. No, 3 in a row if you count the live show.
Oh, right. Sorry.
And I was in Cincinnati yesterday,
Yeah.
and the guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I'm Mike from episode 100." I'm like, "Hey, Mike, you know." Actually, he kind of came up to me thinking I would know who he was, and bummer, I just didn't. But he's changed. He's a young guy. In a couple years, they can change a lot.
Aged a lot.
And he goes,
Grow up.
episode
like
100.
babies, actually.
He says, episode 100. He goes, "I'm the one you tried to set me up with Tori."
Oh, my goodness.
You stricken him from your memory.
No, he was a good guy. It wasn't his fault.
Was he still available?
Well, it
Yeah, and you know what? He actually looked better. He was more handsome looking.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had a
What?
great,
Interesting observation as well.
a great
Tori-
few
Tori's
days
still single?
on the road
Second time's a charm.
with youth workers. Let me tell you a story.
The bit that won't die right here.
Yeah. I'm going to start talking about
I'm focused.
somebody's inheritance soon if you don't.
And scene. Continue.
So on Tuesday, I was speaking at Anderson University.
South Carolina.
No, Indiana.
Made that up.
Okay.
I was like,
Just trying to
I
keep
think
the
I
story
actually
moving.
know where that place is.
Yo, well, if you guys would shut up, I'd get the story going.
I'm focused.
So I'm speaking to Anderson, Indiana. We're done on Tuesday. Spend the night there. Go to this little place called Lemon Drop. There's a young
Fun.
guy that goes to school there. His name is Chris. We went out to dinner with him. He had his first 2 years book and all tabbed and questions.
That's
and
awesome.
He's very,
So
very
cool.
cute, eager to learn. Great young guy. He's going to get a church and going to be a youth pastor. He graduates in May and going to be a youth pastor in Arizona. So the next day, I'm driving. Chris Reed went with me
Oh,
to
cool.
our team. That's one of people that we all know, one of my friends who went with me. And we're trying to find a diner, drive-thru, and dash. And
Diners, drive-ins, dives.
yeah, dives, that one.
You're
And
going to dine and
You aren't
dash.
going to dash.
You're going to steal.
well, we already ate at
Schroeder.
the
Silver
Lemon
spoons.
Drop the day before, so we're like, And I told this kid, I said, look, people want to take me out to dinner, that's great, but they always go, hey, I don't know if you ever heard of this, Outback, and I want to go. If I go out to dinner with somebody, I want to go
Filet, perhaps?
someplace I can't get
hole
anywhere
in the
else.
wall.
So
Yeah.
we went to a hole in the
Famous.
wall,
Yeah.
total hole in the wall. So I'm starving, and Chris can't find anything. So finally, I said, Chris, we got to settle for Cracker Barrel. Now, for those on the team
that's
that
not
don't
a
know this,
settle.
I was just going to say, settle was in quotes on my Twitter.
I saw that tweet. I was like, what?
We don't have Cracker Barrel in Southern
Yeah.
California. And Cody, like when he graduated high school, my son, him and some buddies went like at 4 in the morning, drove to Cracker Barrel, had breakfast, napped in the car, had lunch, went out and played Ultimate Frisbee, had dinner, and drove home. 3
Best
meals
day
at
ever.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
So Cracker Barrel's great.
Arizona's like our closest, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
6 hours away.
And so I Twitter, have to settle for Cracker Barrel in Shelbyville, Indiana. So we go into Cracker Barrel. Chris and I are sitting there, a little 2-person table by the wall because he's charging his laptop. Details of the story that are very important. So all of a sudden,
Riveting,
Intimate.
Yeah.
all of a sudden, a youth worker shows up
Navy ship.
and says, "Hey, Doug, Jason Chenoweth," and I had been interacting with him email because I recognized the name.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, man, sit down." We moved to another table, having a great time. Great guy, great youth worker, great story, fun to get to know him.
Picked up the tab.
He actually did.
No.
He actually did, and he didn't
That's
even eat.
so
I tried not to. I said, no. Look,
Oh,
I
that's
make more money than
funny.
him. I can take
Yeah.
the tab. And he tells the waitress, he says, "I live here. I'll see you more often." And I mean, he's very cool. So then another youth worker shows up.
No.
Yes, Scott Todd, 2 first names, or Todd Scott. Scott Todd.
Either way.
Scott Todd shows up.
Also
what
charging
happened-
his laptop.
What happened to the laptop at this point? Did you move tables?
No, yeah, we had to move tables, but we left the
you left it
laptop.
over there.
Yeah,
okay.
because now we were occupying 2 tables.
Right.
And it was
So,
charging.
What did you have to drink?
I just had
Did you eat fried apples?
no.
Oh, hash brown casserole? So good.
Yes, I do.
Oh.
Meanwhile, everyone in the South is like, you guys, Cracker Barrel's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's not that big a
No.
deal.
No,
you understand.
everybody
For us,
else
it
thinks
is.
it's like.
So
nice.
anyway, the new youth worker shows up, who's equally as cool. We
His
start
name?
talking about dives.
Is
He
this
takes
Scott
us
Todd?
down the street, yeah,
Okay.
to the Cow Palace.
No way.
The Cow Palace, and we have a peanut butter and caramel shake.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did
It
it
was
change your
so
life?
great.
Sounds
You know what was fun? It's fun. I went there
Why
to
is it
speak.
called the Cow Palace? Because the dairy?
What was,
And is
the
it
point, what was the point of
caramel
the
or
story? You had a
The point of the
caramel
story.
shake.
No, the point of the story, if you actually
That sounds
cared and
good.
were intuitive and listening,
Just trying to bring it back.
is
with you.
is that I went there for these 2 speaking engagements. Both of them were really, really great. But the real win in the whole thing was
Hanging out with people.
hanging out with youth workers.
that's cool.
They were just so cool. Yesterday there was some in Cincinnati who would come up and they know the rhythm now. They're like, "Hey, I'm part of the team. Come on, get in
that's
here."
Awesome. That is awesome.
That's great.
It's so cute.
Very, very fun.
I love
love it.
that.
Very, very fun. Hey, we have on
You are
episode
man of the people.
156.
That's what we like to say. Man of the people.
You know, I'm thinking about getting one of those campaign buses.
And just driving around,
Just driving
kissing
the country.
babies.
Cool.
and-
Yeah, twittering.
Yep.
Waving
I
on
actually
Jack.
thought how fun it would be to get a motorhome,
Little road
and just
trip.
do a little road trip.
I would
and
do
I
it.
know.
Twitter different
A tour.
places that
As
we
long
would
as
be.
there was a satellite in that bus, I would do it.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
long as I could bring my yeah, that'd be great.
Xbox and stuff.
Yeah.
Every city you leave, you can be like,
Seriously,
"Thank
when do we
you."
go?
Hey, this show is episode 156, not only sponsored by. That's nice that
Kiss and throw a
Josh
baby.
just
Yeah.
kissed a baby and threw him out the
right
window.
out the
Right.
As we drove by.
Michael Jackson.
This show, which I can already tell is going to be one of our best,
Absolutely.
is sponsored. We have a sponsor, a paid sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, please support our paid sponsor.
Today's podcast is sponsored by virtualpraiseband.com. Prepare to be amazed. That's right.
I'm prepared.
That was it.
Are you ad-libbing or are you
No,
you
that's what
reading?
it says.
Okay, let's just let him get through it.
Whatever's
Don't
missing
comment.
on your worship team is played.
Go
now.
back to your voice, though.
All right, here we
back
go.
to your paid advertisement.
Now,
Yeah.
whatever's missing on your worship team
No
is
ad
played
libs.
by world-class Christian musicians who follow your lead just like the rest of your team. You're never stuck with inflexible accompaniment tracks or with fewer players than you need. No more Sunday morning or Wednesday night panic when there's no shows, because now you'll always have a complete team on platform every time. Virtualpraiseband.com offers players... Sorry. Here we go. Players are living inside of almost any relatively recent PC-compatible computer, even a laptop.
You're on track.
Just waiting for you to install the powerful and
PC-compatible
inexpensive.
computer.
Unlike traditional tracks, you can mute any instruments you don't need or alter your arrangements on the fly, even while you're leading worship through song. If you have a full team, there's no better tool for training them and teaching parts than Virtual Praise Band. We're halfway through. Incredibly, Virtual Praise Band powered tracks can cost as little as ordinary accompaniment tracks. You can even connect Virtual Praise Band to your projector and have perfect synchronization of the lyrics on the screen. That's just one less thing for your tech guy or gal has to worry about. Virtual Praise Band is not some cheesy MIDI accompaniment, but actual separated multi-track recordings in a software format that lets you lead the virtual players, just like you lead the live players on your team, all at a price that will amaze you. So, see for yourself. Get all the information plus a free Virtual Praise Band test drive at virtualpraiseband.com. Register today. The 5 youth pastors who register will get a free test drive for a month's free subscription to virtualpraiseband.com. Prepare to be amazed.
All right, virtualpraiseband.com. Here is
Amazing.
Here's one of the things that I love. You remember we were talking about, we got emails a couple weeks ago about what do you do with special needs kids in your ministry?
Yeah.
And Josh's idea was to submit that to the DougFields.com blog community.
Totally.
And
What'd they
great
come up with?
responses. Great responses. Like 25 people chimed in. Parents with special needs were thankful. It was really, really good. But Mark, who sent in the question, I connect him with another guy, and he says, I'm a pastor in Texas, about 45 miles south of Houston. I heard your letter read on SYM Podcast 153 and sent in an offer to resource you and your wife. My wife Nancy and I learned about our youngest son being autistic in 2004, and I've experienced much of the overflow of emotion, information, worry, what-ifs, and guilt that you and your wife are going through. If you would like, you're welcome to contact me and my wife for any reason. We'd be glad to help. How great is that?
That's super cool. That's the power of the community, of the team.
I love that.
Team
That is the strongest.
helping each other.
How's your focus, Matt?
Good.
Yeah? All right.
I just turned my phone off. Look at
Oh,
that.
wow.
I just put a
I
mitt
thought you
in
were
my mouth.
checking your emails.
No.
Yeah.
I only do that when we get boring.
So you checked it a few times already this show.
While you're talking.
I've been very riveted this whole time.
He starts talking and then immediately grabs his phone. Oh, this is boring.
I'm John Belzerwinder. Belswitch-inder.
He's German. Keep going.
Bellswinder, I think.
Belswinder
Swedish?
from Our Savior Lutheran Church in Albany, New York. Your podcast is the best. That was
The
caps.
best what?
That was caps.
That was the crowd roaring.
The best.
In comparison to.
The best youth ministry podcast with 4 people shot in Southern California ever.
My computer hard drive is tapping out because I'm downloading all the video podcasts. Anyway, primarily a middle school youth worker part-time, and I have a small thing. My brother is one of my volunteers, and he's awesome. He recently got engaged, and his fiancée is a brand new believer.
Awesome.
She just got baptized this past summer. The problem is, it seems like she just wants to be involved because my brother is involved, and she wants to be with him. They are together in our worship ministry and our youth worship team, and they seem to be attached to the hip, even in ministry. I hesitate, hip singular, not hips. I hesitate because of her newness to Christ and her motives for being involved. I also worry about potential flack from parents about having her involved and how she can impact our middle school youth when she is in the same shoes. Help. Thanks.
Same
God
shoes.
Same shoes
She's
attached
in
to
middle
the hip.
school.
This is
Kid
crazy.
herself?
Well, just new in the faith, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Now, here's the deal. What's quick answer is if he gets rid of his worship team, he could always go to virtualpraiseband.com.
Totally.
So good.
You've been outsourced, baby.
Well, is the question? Is the question that she's a new believer influencing students, or is the question that there's too much physical distraction, attraction, whatever?
Well, it sounds like motive, new believer, the whole bit. So what do you do, Josh?
I just asked them to chill out a little bit while they're in the youth ministry, just not have as much physical whatever. Don't, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's saying attached by the hip. I get the impression that everywhere he is, she is.
Right.
That
Yeah.
it's not like they're
not necessarily
making out in
a
front.
sexual
Oh,
thing.
great. Well, then I
Well,
would give her a role that's a little further away from him. But she's a new believer. Great. She'll grow so much being a part of that youth ministry. I wouldn't have her necessarily
would
deep
you wait for
counseling
someone?
one-on-one.
How long would you wait for someone after they became a believer to have them serve in the ministry?
A certain role immediately. For certain roles, absolutely, right away, without a doubt.
So leading music right away.
Right, potentially.
Because right now she's leading music or some role.
part of the
She's
band.
part of the band.
She's either playing keyboards or pushing the button for virtual praise band.
One of those two things. What about lead a small group?
A year.
But I guess my question first would be, like, has he sat down with her one-on-one? Like when we bring a new volunteer on the team, regardless of who they're attached to, we have a one-on-one, meeting with them and get to know them and who are you and what's your story, and connect with them more on a leadership basis of just establishing your relation with her, with a new volunteer separately than a spouse. Because we definitely have spouses that, they see their spouse serving and want to come and serve as well to
totally
serve together in a ministry. But I'm just wondering if that has taken place yet, just a one-on-one conversation of, like, do you love middle school? Is this where you feel like your heart beats, and really just kind of treating her a little bit as an individual to start of, okay, your heart beats are okay, you're a new believer, here's my concerns about that, maybe here's some roles you could play as you grow in your faith, I think talking to them as a couple is not a bad thing too. Anytime you have a dating, a not married couple, I think it's good to have a conversation of just.
Well, and I think care a little
who
bit
you are.
about her insecurity, and she's in a foreign place in a very new environment. Everyone
Sure.
else gets the social norms in this Christian subculture thing called youth group, whatever. So, cut her some slack too. She's
Get to know her
right.
individually.
The only place of comfort she has and understands is the guy that she's with. So, chill a little bit.
Yep. Good advice.
Perfect advice.
I don't have anything
Actually,
to add. Do you have anything, Dan? Well, it was
Nope, I
perfect
already-
advice.
Perfect.
I already
you talking
asked
about me
my
or
little
Josh?
questions.
Me?
No,
Josh.
together.
Josh.
It was a
I stumbled. You picked up the
Plural,
ball around
yeah.
it, and then you scored.
Well-rounded. Well-rounded.
That's right.
All right.
I just had to talk to a parent on a similar issue that he is involved in the ministry because his daughters are involved in the ministry, and so far
that's interesting,
he's,
too.
And they're homeschool families, but he is
No.
separate enough. I know. Imagine homeschool kid being overprotective, parents being overprotective of the kids. But he,
time
so
that's
far he's been involved for a couple of years, so he's not
Yeah.
a new leader. But he's been separate enough on stuff. But we're doing a homeless shelter, feed the homeless thing this weekend, and we have enough leaders, and it's actually pretty cool. We're taking more students than we planned, so it's really fun.
Awesome.
But he wanted to go, and I said, "Oh well, we have enough." And you could just kind of tell, but what's really happening here is he wanted to go because he felt like it was going to be unsafe for his kids. And I said, hey, well, we don't need any more leaders. But I use that as an opportunity to say, if you're going to serve, you need to serve because you love kids and you want to help out.
Awesome.
And your kids need to be comfortable showing up knowing that they're going to youth group, not that they're getting watched all the time. And so I said, hey, so if we have enough leaders, so if you want to pull your daughter out because you don't feel safe, pull your daughter out. We got a couple people on the waiting list, and
Dude, good for you. That's
so-
strong.
How do you respond to that?
he positive.
Yeah.
He said, no, I totally get it. I'm here because I want to help reach the kids and not,
Oh,
it's
cool.
my wife I'll check with my wife to see if she feels like it's too unsafe, but I know you guys are taking plenty of leaders and,
Yeah.
so.
That's a
So if I was
great
on your volunteer
conversation.
team and I wanted to go to the homeless deal and you already had enough leaders, could I not go?
Right now you couldn't. Because we're taking 30 kids and there's already like 8 leaders going
Yeah.
for driving and stuff like that.
Couldn't
And
take
so-
a 9th leader?
Well, not a 9th leader who wanted to watch their daughter.
Oh, okay. So you could take a 9th leader.
I wouldn't take a 9th dude leader.
No.
Because I want the kids to serve.
Yeah.
I don't want the leader. I want the...
So you don't really care about the adults
If they've got nothing
interacting
to do,
relationally?
Yeah, if they don't have anything to do, I don't want them to be hovering over and it's like one adult per 2 kids and it's like, okay, are you feeding the whole...
Yeah.
No, it's not... So
You want to add another van and a few more kids?
maybe, but we're at our
Just not
limit for
homeschool
the
kids,
first
is that what you're
time. No, that kids are coming.
This scene was
like
fun.
a
You guys are
ratio.
trying to get me. I
Doug
don't even
gets
realize this right now. I'm like answering the question
You are. I was
as
like,
if
why
they're
are
real
you doing
questions.
like
You're
this?
getting got bad on that, dude.
Well, when
It's
you
a good
have
ratio,
when you have a pure
logistically,
heart,
you're
it's
fine.
really hard to see past this.
Dude,
stuff.
I do love the fact that you would talk to a parent about their motivation because I think that is
Sure.
a
Yeah.
beautiful transferable principle that often parents have the
Help me
right
out
heart.
there.
Well,
But
I was going to
sometimes
jump in, but I was like,
it's messed up. That's
he's
good.
continuing
See,
to
Josh,
go.
when you're talking, I don't do the crosstalk. Katie's kind of bad on the crosstalk
Oh,
lately,
yeah.
last
Yeah.
couple weeks.
I'm
And we should
sorry.
evaluate her.
I think we
may
should.
need to sit down and have a conversation.
You've already
You
said
can.
You might need to have
remind me
you
of
might
the
need to have
rules at the
one
beginning of our
shoulder.
podcast.
Actually, maybe Katie and I should do our own podcast.
That'd be great.
I
You guys
know.
would never meet. It'd be perfect.
It'd be great.
We would
We'd just do ministry.
Phone it
Hey,
in.
Jed Sorensen got your email. Thank you very much. He was just an affirmation that says,
Keep blogging.
no, but
DougFields.com is awesome.
way under more than dodgeball.com.
No.
The parent blog of DougFields.com is. No, Jed just says it's fuel to his life. He's
cool.
busy. He works different jobs. The whole bit that the podcast is fuel.
Has Fields overtaken Griff's yet?
I don't know.
Not yet.
No.
It's on its way, though.
No,
Not
You
yet.
got to check that. I bet you.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
We don't want to compare because when you compare, you lose.
That's right.
Well, I don't know.
And when I compare, I
I've
lose.
already lost. So I'm fine. Oh wait a minute! I'm not even in the game.
No, you're there.
Really?
Yeah, you had a
Dude, I
good
had
blog
to
post
I had
this
it
week.
Posted twice this week.
LoveGodLoveStudents.com had a really great post about interaction with a volunteer. Had 4 learnings from it. Strong. His best writing and his only writing in
All year?
a
In
month or
like
3.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
All
my
right.
Twitters go up there.
Doesn't count.
From Mike McGarry.
Should we talk about your blouse now, or just save it for the end of the show?
My blouse?
Blouse? Oh, aces are wild. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's new. Never heard any jokes about this shirt.
Yeah.
I can't believe you still have that
Episode 7, 19, 42, and
156. All right, here we go.
Mike McGarry, Emmanuel Baptist Church, Norfolk, Massachusetts.
Virginia, okay. When you woke up, you had to know we were going to tease you. You're like, I'm putting this on.
No, I didn't care. I was cold. It's cold. I went in for a long sleeve shirt. Not going to any important meetings today.
You didn't put it on and go, the guys are going to kill me today.
No.
Well, that's how you feel when you put your plaid shoes on, though.
Absolutely.
You have plaid shoes?
Oh, yeah. I get killed all the time.
You teased them for those.
Those aren't terrible.
Yeah.
I like them.
I like them too.
They make my calves look great.
Is that what you think when you put your shoes on in the
I'm
morning?
like, Doug's going to love these.
Some barbecue sauce.
Have I told you the story of this shirt? I thought it was reversible. Like, look, Katie, look, see there's a logo back in there? I thought this was a shirt where I could double dip on it, turn it inside out.
Not so much.
Nope.
It looks like it could double dip as a tablecloth. Nice.
Wow.
Thank you.
You're like going to town on that shirt.
I love that. It's one of my favorites.
All right, let's focus. I've been a youth pastor in my church going on 6 years and recently been really emphasized impassioned about the importance of equipping parents to be the primary disciplers of their kids. Around the same time as this passion was stirring in me, the senior pastor and associate pastor brought up the idea to shift the job description around a little bit and broaden my responsibilities beyond youth ministry. I'm in the process of working on a job description that would look like pastor of youth and families. The goal is I'd spend 75% of my focus on the youth ministry while providing oversight on other ministries to families in our congregation. I've got a great leadership team and I'm confident that I can delegate more stuff to them. So here's my question. If you were in my shoes, size 12 if you're wondering, Matt, what would you make sure is in your new job description and what isn't in it? I've been a faithful listener since episode 12, but can't say I listened to all the episodes because the sound was so bad on some of them I just couldn't bear it. McGill, don't worry, you weren't producing those ones.
I was just going to say that. Right. Well played. He has been with us for a while.
And yes, I'm writing this on a Thursday morning in hopes that Doug will print out the new batch of emails this morning, and my question will be towards the top of the pile.
Amazing.
Wow.
Well played, sir.
Yeah,
well
actually, you'd be safer on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Well,
sometimes I print them Wednesday night. But I got home like at midnight last night.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good question. What do you guys think? It's a load of it's a huge question.
Well, the biggest thing is when you change a job description of pastor of youth and then add and families, and you don't resource that person with either any help or budget or anything, it's
going to be your whole old job. Plus a new
you're
job.
just setting yourself up for a difficult thing. Now, is it a great idea? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a great idea for pastors of youth to be thinking broader and deeper than just teenagers themselves, and how do we engage the family and help the family and serve the family, and so that's a great thing. So adding to your job description, I would say this is something that what I would do. I would say let's change the title, and know that we're moving in this direction, but give me a year to morph into it and see what it, as opposed to getting on a whiteboard and dreaming up all these things that I'm going to do at the sacrifice of the ministry that you're already doing. I'd say let me just slowly grow into this position, and as opposed to you create this job description, then he says I got plenty of people to delegate to. Then you delegate, which is synonymous with dumping on these people. So you've just loaded them up more,
right.
And you don't really even know. You're just moving in a direction that's based on stuff on your whiteboard. So.
And a year from now, those people might not be with you. I mean, things could change.
Well, you may have worn them down.
Well, but by him saying that he's got people to delegate to, another way to understand that is that he is being resourced. He does have margin to do more work. I mean, that's not necessarily delegate is automatic dump. I mean...
What do you think "and families" means as far as, like, how is families bigger than how... youth ministry, because even though I would say it's not something I think it's something we're always trying to work on and do better, ministry to families, parents, that kind of thing. What would it be beyond, your youth ministry families? Is it like all families in the church? You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what "and families" represents, because I think that's...
Well, I got the idea when he said providing oversight on other ministries to families in our congregation. So families may not, you don't have teenagers yet, Katie.
I don't.
So, or Josh, or Matt. So he might...
I just am a teenager.
Barely. He may go, okay,
Vision
they're part of my
of
target. I want to help them.
Yeah.
When...
So he wants to help parents be the primary disciplers, which is a great, noble goal.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Do you think this is a good time to ask for, you alluded to it a little bit, and ask for more resources and ask for a part-time position to help cover the slack that you're creating in youth? Feels like as you add more responsibilities to yourself, it's a good time to make an ask for more.
Well, here's what I feel like senior pastors, associates, they're good at. They're good at, coming up with an idea over lunch. Let's go back and talk to the youth guy about it. We need to care for families more.
Can you do it?
Can you do it? Oh, good. You will? Great. Walk out the door and then check that off. I got that problem solved.
It's happening, right.
And then left all the burden on the youth guy to do that.
And are you talking about in general or this specific?
No, I'm saying in general. I think that typically is, and that's why, anytime you say yes, you don't want to I don't think you want to say a quick yes. I think you want to say, that's really interesting. It's funny that you bring that up because it's been kind of stirring in some of the passions of me. Can I have a couple weeks to think and pray about it?
But isn't that what he's initiating? Isn't he the initiator?
I'm responding to his question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Josh's question. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't think it's great to come out with a yes right away, and I don't think it's great to say yes and give me this to make it happen.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's an opportunity. They're feeling like you're the answer to this situation.
And you're getting excited about it.
And you're like, yeah, I've always felt that we're only doing ministry to teens. What if we did help their parents, and then they, You get fired up about it. But I would just say something's going to suffer. Something's going to break.
Right.
If you don't have a good plan going in. So I'd pause, see if you need more resources, more people, more time, and launch it at an official time. Morph into it is a good idea.
Yeah.
Soft launch it for a season, wait till the fall. I think, slowing down, taking
just
a deep
few
breath.
small projects, not everything.
Not a whiteboard filled with everything, but start with a parent newsletter and then a library for parents to come get books.
Well, finding what our needs are parents. He says, what would you make sure is in your new job description? And I would slowly write it. And I would meet with parents and what are your needs and how can we help? And
parents with different kids in different stages, maybe.
Yep.
Well, and I would say parents would probably be shocked to hear you say, you are the primary discipler, and I want to come alongside you and help you in that.
Sure.
Even myself with kids at home, I'm relying on their school. They're in Christian school. I'm relying on that. I'm relying on their church. I'm relying on their small group. I am a discipler, but at times, even as a father, I can shirk that responsibility and just leave it to others.
Yeah.
So to have a leader say, hey, let me help you, pretty cool.
Yeah. Great. It'd be fun for him to write back in and show us what his job description is after it has morphed into something. This is from Jeff Stapleton. I wanted to thank you again for amazingly expensive steak dinner we enjoyed together at the Simply Youth Ministry Conference on Group's Ticket.
It was nice.
We didn't have any groundbreaking conversations or any of those funny moments where I'll turn to my wife and say, remember that one time at the podcast steak dinner when Matt said... But I really felt like I was sitting down with friends and just enjoying a meal. Well, Matt did call other youth pastors who hadn't asked about inviting their wives douchebags. My wife has laughed many times at that.
That sounds like it's...
That sounds like a memory right there.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, the person who signed up for the conference, we did a drawing, and
he won.
But he didn't win, though. He's the guy that we ran into at the conclave and said, hey, can I go out to dinner with you?
And we invited him to the steak dinner.
And we just said, hey, why don't you come to the steak dinner? Yeah. So he didn't even contest anything.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to, I knew that, and I wasn't going to go there just to kind of speed it up a little bit, but because we really don't have a winner, now it's great.
Now that they're there, now that we're here, though, what did you order? Did you have the filet? It was really...
I don't know,
Where did you plug your computer in?
Here's the deal.
Come on.
That was good.
Good callback, buddy.
I'll do a steak dinner for the Student Leadership Conference.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Student Leadership
I'll
Conference.
eat steak.
All right, let's go to steak dinner. So if you sign up for the Student Leadership Conference, which is July 5th through the 8th,
Yes.
we'll do a drawing. And while your youth group is some experiential leadership thing,
You'll be eating
we'll
steak.
sneak away
I
to
like it.
Eat delicious steak.
delicious
Or watch
steak.
a movie.
And
How about
movie
all
and
of us
steak.
do it?
Chris,
What if
do
we
you
get
want
the
to
steak
enter?
to go and you eat it
In the
while we're
movie.
eating a watching a movie?
They have those movie theaters, you know.
I've heard about those.
Okay, so this continues. Jeff says, I also want to give a shout out to local youth pastor and fellow podcast team member Dusty Smith. Dusty is the
Hi.
creator of the weight loss contest last year. That a bunch of people participated, lost weight, and we never gave them anything for it.
And we didn't participate in
And that
ourselves.
was the year of the contest, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right. What's this year? What's 2011?
The year of the shirt. We were talking over breakfast about how to begin splitting up junior high and high school groups. And we were talking about the dynamics of our groups, and he mentioned homeschool students. Thinking I was going to be the humor champion of the morning, I said, what group do you put those kids in? They don't even know what grade they're in.
Oh dear.
What followed was a slight smile, followed by Dusty saying, Jeff, you do know my own children are homeschooled, right?
What's wrong with that?
The truthful answer was yes.
Awkwardness.
Oh,
I knew they had moved in that direction and decided to homeschool their kids, but with all the bantering between each other about homeschooling, I thought this would be well received. I was wrong. So here's my shout out to Dusty. Dusty, I'm sorry if I was insensitive. You're doing awesome things at Emmanuel Baptist Church. It's exciting to see God move in our community. You're doing a great job, and I hope to see you next week at our breakfast meeting. So a public apology.
Everything but you're being a great educator.
You're
of
not
your
a
children.
great dad to your
That's
homeschool
right.
kids.
So we have a public apology and we have a paid announcement by virtualpraiseband.com.
This is incredible. What
And
a
an
show.
offer to another steak dinner for the Student Leadership
I'm in.
Conference. All right. This is from Matt Johnson from Manhattan
better.
Beach, California.
Oh, right up the road.
Right up the road,
Yeah.
who should easily go to the Student Leadership Conference.
Absolutely. And eat steak.
Our high school group is rather strong in attendance on Sundays and midweek at about 80 plus, but I've recently discovered several of our students are participating in multiple youth groups and small groups in other churches. They consider our church youth group their home, but venture out to these other churches to get, quote, even more Jesus in their lives, and report it to me with proud grins. Oh, you need to bring them to the Student Leadership Conference so I can kick their butt for you. We even have some students that have home churches but attend ours, quote, to get even more Jesus as well.
There's a lot of Jesus happening.
I
right now.
feel conflicted about this. It's not that they're dissatisfied with an aspect of our group and searching for it elsewhere. They're just saying they want more church and more Jesus. How can I fault that? But something tugs at me that this is unhealthy and putting undue strain on already stretched volunteer teams, including ours. Volunteers want to chase after students, but then find leaders from other churches are pouring into them as well, while others aren't getting deserved attention. It's all very strange to me. Any insight? Good question.
Great
Yeah.
question.
Church hopping starts young. That's the title of the blog post. Sorry.
Would that be on morethandodgeball.com or Doug Fields?
Either way, it'd be an incredible post. Well, I would say this is definitely the reality that we face as well. I mean, I definitely have students that are, bouncing around a little bit too, and parents go to a different church, they come to this youth group, and vice versa. We have parents that come to our church, and they go to a different church or youth group or whatever too. So yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm interested in what you have to say.
Well, part of it, Josh, like your numbers are a little different because, you, in terms of size and scope and even care, you wouldn't necessarily miss those kids. I mean, don't let me put words in your mouth.
Yeah, no,
But I'm saying if you're a smaller ministry, and it's not, 80 plus is not small, but
No.
if all of a sudden you find that 25% of those 80 are plugged in other youth ministries,
Right.
I think it comes down to a stewardship of time that you've got. To me, it made the most sense at the very end when he says our volunteers, are seeking out to
Totally.
quote unquote disciple kids and find they're already plugged in or being cared for by other people.
Right.
Well, and in some ways that's great. What wonderful kingdom work that
Right.
there are multiple leaders investing in the life of a teenager, but it's also, you want that volunteer to feel like we've got a bunch
Right,
of other
do or die,
kids. Well,
yeah.
we've got other kids that would love that time. And so to me, it just becomes a little bit of a stewardship issue. I also think that with student leaders, and I actually am going to write blog posts on this week. I'm going to do a thing on student leadership. But I think with student leaders, it's important for them to, I think, and I could be totally wrong on this, commit to a body. And okay, you want more, you can get more Jesus. That's not, why don't you serve in an area, get involved in the junior high ministry. I mean, make this church your home and understand what church is and how you participate in the body and rub shoulders with younger kids and older people, and as opposed to just kind of the smorgasbord church idea where I just want a little of this and a little of that, and I like their Wednesday night and they have a good Sunday morning and jumping around. Yeah, being a part, investing in family. There's also another part, that I know I've heard Matt say a bunch, that churches don't own, their people, but I don't necessarily think that is an issue here. But yeah, I think it's going to require Matt Johnston from Journey of Faith Manhattan Beach. I think it's going to require some one-on-one conversations.
Yeah. And you wouldn't stop these students from going to Fellowship of Christian Athletes in their school or to a Bible study, whatever. That would, but really you're talking about the local church, the body of believers, and being a part of it and committing to being a part of that family.
Yeah, why would you tell them they can't have a free lunch at FCA?
Exactly.
That would be
Pizza,
horrible.
dude.
Well, I think you would. I think you do. I think it's part of the culture that you set and the strategy that you are creating and the teaching that you're doing is that it's not about programs and people. And you don't need, every time you talk about habits or spiritual disciplines, you're underscoring the thing that, yeah, you can sit in church 7 days a week if you want, but that's not what it's about. That's not what the Christian life is about. And so with the small groups thing, I mean, the way that you can get at that and really see what's happening there is you can ask the leaders, that's part of their communication to the kids is, hey, so are you connected in another small group somewhere? And if they are, it's like, hey, that's great, you can still keep coming, but at least that they know what's happening, and then they don't follow up on that kid. I mean, maybe it's a periodic check-in or whatever to say, hey, are you still connected somewhere else? But the stewardship of time, yeah. I mean, if a kid is connected somewhere else, there's no reason
and
to
not
follow
only the
up.
stewardship of time of the volunteer, but the stewardship of time of the teenager. One of the ways you best disciple that kid is, do you really need to be out of the house every night of the week? Do you really need to be spread that thin? More of Jesus is not going to more of programs.
Yeah, Jesus isn't at church programs.
But I think that's, at least what I've seen in our high school. So I don't think we struggle with it as much in middle school because we're still pretty connected to parents. But
yeah, parents have to drive.
But in high school, I feel like we've seen students become addicts almost to just program and experience and even care a little bit. Like, there are students who are starving for care. So to go be part of 3 small groups and know that, 3 leaders are going to love on me and check in with me. I mean, they are
almost hooked.
Yeah, they're getting hooked on the experience a little bit instead of hooked on Jesus, for a lack of a better word. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like in the personal side of it and learning to spend time with the Lord and find it there.
Well, this is different than the kingdom work that I think you're alluding to. I got an email from a mom saying her son goes to such church up 20 minutes away. Can he come with us for a missions trip? Because they aren't doing any summer missions trips. And that felt like a yes, let's talk about it a little bit. But if it's something that they're sure, that felt like a right yes. But I wouldn't want him to necessarily become
take
part
a
of us.
Spot on a camp that you're trying to reach new kids.
Exactly. If the homeless shelter is full, the trip, I wouldn't want to take that kid over one of our own. Right. But I would say yes under circumstances. I felt like that's a good question.
It's hard to have a blanket rule, but if you're setting kids up to be able to grow on their own in their faith, then at some point they don't need to have as many programs. Now that's not you grow on your own in your faith and you don't need corporate worship. That's not what any of us is saying. That's not what I'm saying. I know. So, but the conflict should be how to handle this, not do I handle it or do I not, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. But I think you're right with the individual conversations of meeting kids one-on-one and, hey, talk to me about this and,
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it actually doing for you?
Right,
Other
what
than
is
making
it?
you feel
Yeah.
I
better.
really like that. Addicted to the
What is
worship
it doing
experience.
other than just feeding that gigantic self-righteous beast inside your heart? And see what they answer that.
Yeah. See how that goes down.
That's right.
Steak dinner.
I'd still going to say, bring him to the student leadership conference.
No, I agree.
Yeah, we'll take anybody for
honestly,
that, right?
you did. It was. I mean, it's been 3 or 4 years ago, but you did it was. I'm going to mess the words up. Something like your youth group needs you, your church needs you. It was a great call to be a part of something. Don't
I actually
eat
remember that
everywhere.
message.
Yeah, I wish I had the rest of it in front of me and right now, but
Yeah.
Because you were like, if you want to grow, look in the mirror. You're responsible for your growth
Yeah.
and moving forward. And
Totally.
You know,
it was
it was
strong. I
great.
think. Yeah, give that talk at student leadership.
Okay, I
Right
will.
between the eyes, all of us.
There's some good questions. Let's go to the one with a pretty face.
I have noticed the pictures on our wall haven't changed.
Well,
in a
here's
while.
the deal.
Here's
the deal. They're in my folder.
2011.
Why don't one of you guys own that part?
I volunteer Matt.
cool.
Wait, what about Chris? He's the producer.
Yeah, it was Debbie who used to work here, and Debbie would just forward it to him.
Riley's the graphics guy. He's used to printing things.
All right, here's Wes Henson. He is from First Baptist, Kitty Hawk, Texas. This is on a side note. It's kind of a little bit of a long one, and he was.
We'll just be quiet while you read it.
My wife won 3rd place in the weight loss competition last year, and we won a free registration to the conference.
Excellent.
The rest of the story was that she did the competition with me so she could get to a decent weight so we could start trying to get pregnant with our second child. The goal was met. And she
Which
is
goal?
due in May with our second child. So anyway, he says pregnancy didn't agree with her. They couldn't go to this year's conference. Can they have that free in? Because I told them they could go for free because they won the conference. Can they have it for 2012? I don't know why you couldn't. Of course you
Yes,
can.
of
The answer is
course.
yes.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how we're going to remember all that. I'll forward this to Nadine.
Wednesday night before the conference.
On a side note, when I talked to you and Matt, we met this guy when we were in Dallas, and I was speaking at the Conclave deal.
Oh, where we met Stapleton?
Yeah.
Oh, steak dinner guy.
I was blown away by being part of the team. Your genuine excitement for our pregnancy was shocking. I never expected our conversation to be as warm as it was, especially with Matt. I am a
It
real.
doesn't say that.
It,
Wow.
Dude,
Especially
to be
with
known
that.
is a beautiful thing, isn't
that
it?
in person,
It
you're
is.
softer, you're
No,
kinder,
you're like
gentler.
one of the warmest people I
Yeah.
know.
No, that's not true.
Just the sweat.
All right, I'm bivocational, and I've really been struggling with managing my time well. It seems like every week I run out of time. I've been full-time before and understand a lack of time applies there as well. So my question is this. If you could do only one thing well during the course of a week...
There's an hour. There's an hour of your life back right there. There's a gift.
If you could only do one thing well during the course of a week, what would it be? I feel like the answer is to develop volunteers, but volunteers are very scarce in a church of less than 100 people. I would narrow the focus to 4 possible areas. Lesson prep, developing relationships with students, developing relationships with parents, and developing volunteers. What are your thoughts and Matt's wisdom? Any help is greatly appreciated.
Work on your talk.
Really?
No.
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 He says 4 areas: lesson prep, time with students, time with parents,
Lesson
and
prep-
developing volunteers.
Lesson prep's a good answer, and for too many people, probably the default. Spend time preparing your lesson, have a great lesson, and I would say.
Well, he's part-time, so lesson prep could also include programming that evening or
Totally.
that morning
Right,
or
that,
something
and that
like
has
that.
to be part of it. But no.
Yeah, I love those 4 areas: students, parents, volunteers, and your.
If you're
give each of them 3 hours?
if you're part-time, I would put parents at the bottom of that list.
Me too. Now, then what? I agree.
For sure.
Well, what if you did like,
if it's not
a
every
weekly
other
goal
week.
of a student, a volunteer a week or something of relational time maybe.
Cool.
And then the other, I don't know what's part-time, 20 hours? Ish.
Well,
Plus,
probably paid
depending
20
on-
hours,
yeah.
but more than that. I mean, just your programs, just your Sunday school, doing a Sunday
just
school
being
and a
that
Wednesday
stuff.
night
Just
type
showing
thing,
up,
and
yeah.
There's 10.
10 right there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think you have relational blocks of time, And what I would say is that given your week based on your job or your school, you know that on Tuesdays from 2 to 5, that's my relational time. Or Thursdays I have a lunch, I can go from 11 to 2 and put 2 appointments in there. And you know what those blocks of time are. Then as you go through your week and God gives you divine appointments, you run into a parent, say, boy, I'd love to get together with you for lunch. I can do Thursday. Or, a kid after Sunday school says, I really want to talk to you. Great. What are you doing
Tuesday
afternoon? And so you kind of have your blocks of time, and those are just relationship in quotes. And those could be student relationship, parent relationship, volunteers. But, everybody runs, we all run out of time, and the reason we run out of time is we're not proactive with our time. Tuesday when I was at Anderson University, we were doing this youth ministry symposium thing, and I went back to some of the basic roles and goals deal. And, you see these lights go on as I'm talking about stuff that I've been teaching forever about. You identify your roles, for me, teacher, pastor, administrator, leader, creator, developer. Take your 5 roles,
podcaster.
Put your to-dos under those. Right. Block it out during your week. You got Monday through Friday. When am I going to prep? Because if not, you wind up just living out of a to-do list, which is the easiest thing to do. And those that become most urgent get to the top of your to-do list. But those that are most urgent aren't necessarily the most vital.
Well, and I would also say, to add to that, you can buy or download whatever great resources to help you with youth talks and stuff like that. That can cut down that time a ton.
Yeah. JoshGriffin.com.
I don't own that. That's actually a porn star. But anyhow.
Oh, wow.
True story. Go to morethandodgeball.com.
I was going to say, you know how many people are tempted right now to just go look at it just because you said
Really?
Well, I am.
No, I mean not. I think knowing would make you not want to go there.
No, to me, I want to kind of get the banner and then put it on morethandodgeball.com.
If you Google Josh Griffin, I'm the number 1. And
there you go.
Thank you. But then 3 and 4 are this dude. Anyhow.
At least you're number 1.
I was going somewhere. Okay, so I would find resources to help you with that, and I would also divvy out the teaching, especially early on. Develop a couple other voices so that you can spend more relational time. Yeah. And as you develop your voice and get more comfortable.
That's one of the secrets, Josh. And I've affirmed you before on that. You're a master at that. You are the best I've seen at that. That you don't have to have that same voice all the time. And I was talking to a pastor. We went out to dinner with a bunch of youth workers, and one of the youth workers brought his pastor. He was a college leader for several years, and now he's been a pastor for this 1 year, and he's buried. But he teaches almost every week. And I was saying, one of the things that you've done so well is that how difficult it is to lead a ministry and teach all the time. Because it's just hard that you have developed a rhythm of other voices, and you're not losing. You're not dipping attendance.
I haven't taught in 5 weeks in HSM, partially being gone, but we also planned a series that students would teach called You on the Weekend. Yeah. And attendance, I don't know, but it's way up.
Yeah.
Way up.
Now that's a little different because You Own the Weekend.
Totally.
Is not necessarily bringing in another one of your leaders, although it's the greatest, most creative idea I've heard in a long time.
But letting students speak, letting a volunteer speak, letting, Yeah. I actually just calculated it. In 2010, I spoke 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And students spoke, and I'm not saying that's the rule.
Yeah.
That was the reality.
Yeah.
Out of 50 weeks we did youth group, I taught 25.
Yeah, and you're a great communicator.
So I have fun. It's so much work.
It is a lot of work.
To lead and teach simultaneously, which we feel are synonymous at the church that I'm at Saddleback, that for some reason leading and teaching are the same thing. And they're both very different.
See, and that's the crunch I'm feeling, because I'm used to, when I led the high school ministry, I didn't do the teaching all the time.
Right.
I taught maybe not even a quarter of the time. And so, but now teaching, especially with our team, everything's being rebuilt where I'm at now. So I am teaching every week and leading, and it's like, I just can't crank stuff out like I used to be able to.
Right.
So like we did a friendship evangelism thing 3 weeks ago. I've got ideas for packet, follow-up, Bible study, the whole thing. But
And in the middle of it, you got to start writing.
You also don't know, though, who your communicators are. You haven't been there long enough.
Well, no, I have.
Josh has got.
Well, I've got
me.
I was going to say, I got a few in my back pocket. One of them being Doug Fields, who's speaking 4 times in the next in a couple months, which is incredible. So
you have a huge budget, though. We don't.
Just kidding.
Hey, a true story. Do you know how much money I have left between now and July 1st? This is true, and it won't.
Zero.
$1,100.
I have $600 left from now until July 1st.
Yeah.
And I realize $600 is still a good chunk of money, but
for the size of your ministry,
I know I'm in trouble.
All right, we got to end, but I want to. I want to end.
Really
Yeah.
Is your roles and goals thing in a resource that you've already
PDYM.
done? It is in PDYM.
Yeah.
It's old school in PDYM. When you bring out the new one,
I was trying to think of.
because it's like handwritten blocks, which I love. It's like from a day timer.
Yeah, but there's not an electronic format, which would be easy to do with Excel, and we should probably figure out how to do it.
Even just setting up a template in.
Covey's electronic version comes the closest to what you do.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And it has a plugin for Outlook where you can do roles and goals and stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Super cool.
Hey, awesome. And maybe we can experiment with that or explore that and try to get that for next week. I just want to say to Suzanne, she wrote this letter. And I want to make sure I get to it. Somebody on her team has crossed emotional boundaries with kids. As it turns out, that somebody is the youth pastor's brother. She has addressed the situation. The brother said it was taken care of, the youth pastor's brother. It isn't taken care of. And I would say to you, Suzanne, you sit down and have another conversation with that youth pastor. Help him understand that it is not taken care of and that is a big issue. And you're liable with that information. And so...
Liable?
What?
What do you mean by liable?
Well, she's got information that, you got an underage kid and
at least responsible.
Well, yeah,
not legally. You're not talking in legal terms.
Well, I don't know if it is crossed.
What's the situation?
Whether it's crossed the line to physical or emotional. Right now, it sounds like it's just emotional.
Right.
But you
got to say something.
Absolutely.
And if he doesn't listen, then you got to talk to the senior pastor.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's messy because everybody's interrelated and they like each other and they're friends and stuff like that.
It's so hard.
It's a difficult one. Yeah, and then when that situation is resolved, and it will be resolved, and you give glory to God, then you sing with virtualpraiseband.com. All right,
tied together.
Wow, nice bow on that, buddy.
Let's go eat. All right, love you guys. Blessings to you.
Blessings.